Toss the cut.
You all right?
Well, if you're enjoying this fight, we have even more boxing coming up on HBO. It all happens Monday, February 15th, live from Reno, Nevada. The man on my right, Sugar Ray Leonard, making his first title defense as undisputed champion against Lightning Bruce Finch. He is the number 5 ranked contender, and he is the NABF welterweight champion. We'll have a translation of that in scant moments. North American Boxing Federation, that's it. Figured it out. So now, Duran's corner will have to do something about stopping that cut. It is right above the eye, and it is in an area that will generally bleed rather freely.
Well, at this point, I don't think it's a serious cut, fortunately for Roberto Duran.
And we'll see if that changes the tactics of Roberto Duran, if he doesn't feel he has to go after it. It has not started bleeding again here.
Duran had the right thing in mind the last round when he started coming back.
And now, the left hand snaps the head of Duran back, and the blood once more comes from the eye of Roberto Duran, and a right hand scores. And I don't think he saw that punch. Bleeding is not serious at the moment. And again, in close quarters, and Benitez is content to fight the fight that way. Left hook, but not with a lot on it, thrown by Roberto Duran, the best punch of that exchange. And no blood showing on the face of Duran, so his corner has, at least for the moment, stemmed the flow. That was a lunging right hand that had absolutely nothing on it. Duran trying to measure Benitez, but that is not an easy thing to do. And Benitez with a left hand that scored. 2 to the stomach, 1 to the head.
What's happened now? The head's beginning to collide now.
And that was a lunging left hand that just caught the nose of Roberto Duran. Again, Benitez kind of back on that right leg. It's a defensive posture, but Benitez is an outstanding counterpuncher. Seems to have risen, and Wilfred Benitez, there's a right hand, and that hurt Duran. Duran backs out of there momentarily. Benitez not looking for the kill when he gets the one good punch in. He does not get careless.
Step back, step back.
Again, Duran really unable to measure Wilfred Benitez here. We've come down to the end of round 8. It has been a slow round, if you will, based on the action of the last couple. None of those punches doing a lot of damage as we come to the end of the 8th round here at Caesars Palace.
We've been commenting here about Duran, and the focus naturally is on him, but let's give plenty of credit to Benitez. He's a very good fighter, and he's probably fighting the fight of his life here, and Duran, perhaps as far back as he's gone, would still beat a lot of fighters right now, but he's in there with a lot of fighters.
Yes, he is. I think that he could still beat a lot of fighters, but Benitez isn't a really extraordinary fighter defensively and counterpuncher, and there's a lot of noise going on in Duran's corner right now. Let's see if I can listen to what they're saying.
Who's going to win this fight, man? No rubber, right?
All right.
Please, move and punch. Muévete y pega. Mueve y pega. Gana la pelea. Don't back out of the clinch. No. Vete para atrás.
Move and punch, don't back out of the clinch. That was what Ray Arcel said.
So let's see if Duran follows the advice of his 82-year-old handler, who has been around the track many more times than once. That was a pretty good left hand by Benitez right there, and it got Duran out of there. And Benitez again now is starting to dictate the tempo of the fight. This is the 9th round.
Benitez starting to throw Duran's rhythm off by bouncing up and down. he's starting to pick his pace up.
Benitez fighting a very intelligent fight. He's really not been the same fighter 2 rounds in a row. And the problem with the laces now, so we will stop the time for just a moment. And Richard Green will take Benitez over into his corner, and they'll have to tape up the laces.
They're yelling from the corner of Duran for him to move from side to side.
Well, which is, of course, the strategy that you used in large part.
That was the key. Side to side, lateral movement.
Benitez fighting, as you mentioned, a very intelligent fight. Would you not think, Ray?
Oh, without question, Bud, because he's utilizing the ring. I mean, his footwork has become a major asset in this particular fight. It's been the key to the fight.
That was Benitez's father, who you saw taping down the gloves. He is his trainer. He is the man in the corner. He had 3 other brothers who were fighters. None is any longer.
Again, as I stated earlier, Benitez's footwork has been the key, along with his hand speed. His ability to throw punches inside to get away without the other opponent being able to connect.
Gets his punches off very quickly and effectively. Doesn't miss a lot of punches. Doesn't waste a lot of punches. And it is amazing how he fights to the caliber of his competition. He does not at all resemble the fighter that we saw here, as you mentioned, beating Carlos Santos. He just seems to fight as well as he has to fight. And he has to fight well tonight to beat Roberto Duran. Duran has nothing to apologize for so far. As you mentioned, it's just a case of the spirit willing and the flesh being a little bit weak. A right hand, and that sends Benitez back into the rope. But once again, Ray, it's 1 punch.
Yes, but Duran, he doesn't have the snap. Because ordinarily, if Duran hits you with a good punch, he tends to rock you. And 1 punch is not going to just put Benitez, get him in serious trouble.
And again, the key is to watch the opponent's legs, and Benitez's legs did not go at all. It was a good right hand, but it was 1 punch. It was not followed up, and it did not appear to slow Benitez down.
Benitez should be moving again. I think he thinks Duran's a little bit too weak for him, but again, he should play cool and keep Duran in the center ring and use his boxing skills.
Well, we mentioned his father has said that he has a tendency to forget about that every now and then. There's a right hand again that scores by Duran, but again, Duran can't follow it up as Benitez gets out of there and the blood starts to come from the eye, and I believe also possibly over the bridge of the nose, and there's a right hand by Benitez. I believe Duran may be cut in more than 1 place right now. This corner had managed to stop the bleeding for the last couple of rounds, and now it shows again.
Let's go to Duran's corner here and see what's doing with his cuts. I don't think they're dangerous cuts at this point. But the blood does tell us who is behind in this fight. An unusual thing happened at the end of that round, Palomino. Again, something that tells us about the fight, where Benitez just shoved Duran into the ropes, and Duran, although he bounced off the ropes a little bit, he took it. He didn't come back at him.
I noticed that right in the beginning, that he didn't have the physical strength to be able to move Benitez around, and Benitez, on the other hand, has been able to push him around, and you know, he's not used to being pushed around.
We'll see here if we can catch a glimpse of the right hand that landed early in the round. It was just a grazing blow to the point of the chin and then down on the chest.
Seconds out!
So Roberto Duran comes out still seeking his moment. Incidentally, this is the first time that Duran has been a challenger since 1972, which is kind of interesting. He has been a champion in one sort or another, even in your first fight. Unaccustomed role, and it may be a role that if he is to continue, although he has said he won't. There's a right hand. Once more, you saw the legs of Duran go. Overhand right by Benitez, and a left hand behind it.
So Benitez is trying to knock Duran out, because normally Benitez would use that jab first, but he's throwing all big punches.
There's no question as to the validity of Benitez's right hand. Ask Maurice Hope. Those punches hurt. There was no question about it. Again, the legs of Roberto Duran wobbled with the first one.
As long as Benitez continues to box this way, he's able to frustrate Duran more and more. And I'm seeing signs of frustration in Roberto Duran's eyes.
Duran just unable to get things going. And again, a case of the mind knowing exactly what it has to do and the body just not cooperating. Right hand a little bit short as again Benitez just got his chin out of there. 3 punches by Duran, but none doing any damage. Again, the bleeding has stopped over the eye of Roberto Duran. His corner doing a pretty good job so far as the cuts are concerned. Now just a trickle of blood shows along the bridge of the nose of Roberto Duran.
Again, Benitez had Duran reaching. And Duran should not be reaching against the caliber of fight Benitez is because